Guys, hello and welcome to Skycurser Daily number 40. Happy Memorial Day. We got some good things in store for today. We're going to start by making sure that all weapons are tied into our main weapon handling script. As soon as we're finished with that, then we're going to start pulling in enemies from level 2, start looking at the scripts. Probably start building some sprites. Well, I'm not building the sprites, but building them in Game Maker, and then probably creating the objects for those sprites and making sure they're inheriting properly from their parents. And then once we're done with that, we'll probably start doing some custom scripting for each of the enemies. What are they going to do when they come on screen? And what's going to be their AI, basically. Are they going to be a dumb AI? Are they going to be a little bit more of an intelligent AI? Well, we're going to work that out. So, but for now, we are simply going to get started by pulling everything into the same weapons system. So let's start on that. Okay, and I'm going to turn this music down just a little bit. Okay, hopefully you guys can still hear me. And let's get started here. So let's first of all look at our script that's doing all the weapons handling right now. This is really the last thing that we have to work on before we go full bore for level 2. And so if we can finish this and get this in a really good state, then I think we'll be really well off and be able to add quickly to any additional scripting that's going to occur from this point and on. So let's look at our create event. Simple create event. A couple of items are declared, a couple of properties are declared for this object. Then we hit the script weapon step, and then we have this item here which is doing some instance destroy for shotgun shells. But this is probably where we need to go look for a minute, and it'll be under Skycurser as well. And we're looking for script weapon step. So here's where we build a list of enemies, and we very recently created a list of items for level 1 that would take all of these items into account. And so I might migrate what I have here to that list, because I think that would be helpful. So we'll still keep the if statement here if we're at room level 1 or if we're at room level 2, but so that way we don't have a huge list that we're creating of enemies to check for the weapon attack. But let's go ahead and look at this script, get object group, which here it is right here. This does all the dirty work for us that we're doing over in this script. I just made it more simple over here, so I'm going to use what I have here and pass specific items in. We only have to pass in what level we're trying to pull, what group we're trying to get, and if we have a list, pass the list in. So we have enemies of groups, bosses, backgrounds, and then room level 1, room level 2 here. So this should be pretty straightforward. I should just be able to drop it. I guess we have obstacles as well. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I'm noticing here there's a tank and tank drop. Those would probably be called, I would probably call those enemy weapons. Yeah, because here's an enemy weapon as well. Here's, I don't know if I would call this a weapon. I probably would. And so those definitely need to be included in here as well. I'd probably even go so far as to say this could be called an enemy. Let me actually see if I'm terming it an enemy inside of where it actually is. Level 1 tank. Let's see what this guy is listed as. Yes, he is listed as an enemy because he's inheriting from the parent right here, base enemy. So gonna add him to here. List add arg R2 object tank 1 EB. Eyeball is what that stands for. But then I'm gonna add, let's add in here enemy weapons. Case enemy weapons break ds list add object boss 1 tank. I'll probably call this boss weapon, that boss weapon. So I'll have enemy weapons and boss weapons. Case, this would be enemy weapons. And we've got one more here, which is tank drop. Tank drop, and then, so I think we're good there. So let's pull these in appropriately here. Let me just see here. I think we can go script object, get object group, and we pass in the level, so the name of the level, room level 1, and we then pass in the group of objects we want, enemies. Let's make that a string, enemies, and then if we have a list, we pass that in. If not, we don't, but we're going to create the list here. I guess here's the list that we created. We'll just use that list. I'm going to call this object list, similar to what I did previously in another script that I worked on that was similar to this. So this is object list, and we'll pass it. We'll go ahead and pass that in right there. So we're going to pull in enemies, and I think that means we can remove the enemies that I see here. Enemy 4 is gone. And enemy 5, tank 1 is gone, and tank EB is gone because that was already addressed. Next thing I could do is drop in the boss, so let's just say room level 1, and we'll say bosses. And bosses is fine because there may be some instances where we have more than one boss. I'm not exactly sure if we will or not, but so bosses is fine. That means I can remove boss right here. I definitely want to pull in boss weapons, so I will drop that here. Boss weapons. Tank and tank drop are boss weapons, so we can remove those. Enemy 4 attack would be listed as an enemy weapon, so I'm going to add that right here. ds list add R2 enemy object enemy 4 attack, and remove this guy, and then add in obstacles, Necrostar 1 and 2 here. So almost got it. Obstacles, here we go. So everything from level 1, and then here's level 2 enemies and objects. So this guy would go here, ds list add R2 object base vehicle. Actually, I've got that listed as an obstacle, so I'll move it appropriately. And then this guy could be the object heli wolf. So there we go. Enemies. Enemy weapons, bosses, boss weapons, obstacles, background. So let me just kind of make those same groups here. Bosses, boss weapons, bosses, boss weapons, obstacles and backgrounds. Got it. Okay. I think we're good all through there. So here I pull in script get object group room level 2, which is simply the name of my room for level 2. Pretty straightforward. And then we pull in the enemies. We drop in the object list if it exists, and it should because we created at the very top of the script. Object group and room level 2, and this one would be obstacles. Object list as the data structure list that we are creating and working off of. This guy will turn into OL because that's what we just turned it into from EL. Instead of enemy list, it's now object list. I think it makes more sense to be an object list, and I think that will do it. That should handle it. And one thing that we have to do here, since we are returning this each time, we have to make sure that it is created each time. And that way, when we check it down here, it knows properly which list we're checking against. And then we pass that into, we pass the object list at the index, the I position, to script weapon collision check. So it goes 0 through whatever the size of the list is. So we've got that in a really good spot. The next thing to do here would be to see how everything is passing through. I'm really glad we came back to this because all this work that we did the other day, we were pushing everything through the screen shake object, and we were building our list of objects here based on what's in level 1 or what's in level 2, and now we're in a good spot with that. So the Platformer Labs, how's it going, man? Good to see you in here. And then I will take a look at script weapon step. So let's go look for that. I think it's up here. Skycurser, weapons, weapon step right here. We were right there. So next piece we're going to the script weapon collision check. And we were checking very quickly if we have a collision at the X and Y position of the weapon object that we're checking, and we're also checking to see if the particular enemy or boss or obstacle that we built through this list over here is going to have a collision. We do that right here with instance place, and then we check to make sure it was not equal to no one. If it is equal to no one, that means we have no collision. If it's not equal to no one, that means we have a collision. So we go ahead and generate the collision and everything that's supposed to happen with it. We had a script sleep in here. I'm not entirely sure we're going to keep that. I don't know if we have any enemies right now that are medium or large, but it feels like this guy right here feels like there's a glitch instead of a cool effect happening. We may change it a little bit to make it work better. Let me see here. That should be under here. Sleep. Yeah, so we just did this sleep here. I'm not canceling this out, so theoretically this would still occur if a size of one of the enemy objects is medium or large. And then we just pass everything through script collision generate. We're passing in the weapon object, we're passing in the hit if it occurred. Do not mean to move that. And then we're also passing in the weapon object's X and Y position, which we probably don't technically need to do. We could just check that on the other side. But I think the reason why I'm doing it right here is because I wanted to grab the weapons X and Y position at this instant. And the reason for that is because this script gets called multiple times every single step, and the X and Y position could change from over a period of time in the room, and I want to make sure that I'm not checking the X and Y position later on. I'm using this X and Y position at this instant when the collision occurred. So I think that is a valid way to do this, because I was getting some unexpected results when I was doing it the other way. So here's our collision generate. we do a script data structure weapon map generate. So let's look at that real quick. And the data structure weapon map is here. We create it. In this case, we're building a map, a data structure map, which is basically a key value or an associative array. If you're familiar with associative arrays, versus something like this, a DS list, which is basically, I'm drawing a blank on the exact type of array it is, but it's basically an array without keys. It's only got values in it. So DS data structure map create, and then we're going to pass in some variables as we create our data structure. If the variables are passed in based on what it is that we're checking against, we're checking again against all these different kinds of enemies that could exist. And if they do exist, we add these particular elements to the data structure map, and then we do one more thing. We pass back the data structure map to the weapon collision script, and then we destroy the map. Weapon collision check, and we're passing in some arguments here, some potential arguments. Everything is kind of set up by default, and then if those items exist, we are passing them through. We're basically creating those arguments, and then we're passing them through this list here, which looks a little bit complicated, but this is pretty close to no duplicate code at all. So that's exactly where we want to be. The way I had it previously, there was a lot of duplicate code happening, and this now is pretty close to where there is no duplicate code. Once we've done everything we need to do with the weapon collision, we take the data structure weapon map and we destroy it, because we don't want it to hold up space and memory. So it's a little bit of garbage collection, but that's kind of the way GameMaker works. So now that we kind of did a refresher on exactly where we're at, I say that we now start figuring out how these other objects are, these other weapons are connecting, and or checking for collisions, and start then feeding them through this whole system. And I think probably the biggest key is going to be potentially in this last one that I think I just closed, in this last script that I just closed. So should be right in here. Weapon collision, this guy right here. And what we'll do here is we'll check to see what the bullet impact should be. We have some of this already scripted out, but the shotgun is not already passing through the script, so we got to make sure it's passing through the script first. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller instead of being so large. Wasn't me. Sub to Beastly. How's it going, man? Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to see you, man. Alright, so to Beastly, if you're just joining and you didn't hear any of that, I'm not sure if you did. We're just passing all the other weapons through this weapon collision script. And that should be the last of the really tough stuff that we have to do before we move on to getting all the scripting in for level 2. Good, man. Day's good. Did a lot of traveling today, so glad to be home and streaming. So, how about you? Alright, so Skycurser, weapons. We have multiple weapons here. The shotgun shell is here. Nope, we don't want the shotgun shell. We want the shotgun blast bullet. Let's see what's going on here. Here he is. Got some basic properties set. Step event, then calls. Okay, here's the really old way of doing everything. This is almost an exact mirror of the Vulcan blast of the mini blast bullet. So we got to make sure all this is transferred properly. So 1, 1, 1, 3. I think what I have now might be incorrect. This is the correct way to do it. And then we'll make sure that everything else is passed properly. Because I don't think there's a lot of unique stuff for this guy. And I don't think there's a lot of unique things that are happening for the katana blade either. So let's check this one against this one and think how this would work as we pass through here. Pass this guy up here. So we have a couple choices on meat impact. That looks correct. Cross this guy out. And I don't think I have type of shotgun check in here. Oh, I do. Perfect. Image alpha set. True. Alpha 0. Bullet impact 11510. I think this is different. 321 goes 1113. So yeah, the basically the shotgun was way too strong. And this is the top one up here is definitely the correct way, and we're just basically modifying it so that it all passes through the correct script. And we'll test these one at a time here. I think what we do next is the best way to do this is going to be to, I guess, leave these in here so that it has some defaults to work off of for everything else. So I'll take back what I just did on the commenting, but then I'll start crossing these out and passing them through the script. Yep, that's all correct. You know, I may go for broke here because there may not be an easier way to do it. Also, let's see how this guy starts it off. He just calls this in the step event. Close that up. Calls self. The main reason why I might have to go for broke is because of this script right here, which pulls in every potential enemy. And I could, you know, I could limit this, but while I'm testing, but I'm pretty certain all of this is going to be correct based on the fact that it's basically a duplicate of the mini blast bullet. So I'm just going to go for it here, and if there's a problem, what I'll do is I'll reverse engineer it. And if we have to reverse engineer it, then we'll figure out what the problem was, and we'll start minimizing what our potential conflicts are. So let's just see what we got here. I do have to look at that one more time to make sure I set this up correct. Let's cross this guy out. Just call script weapon step self. Basically passing in the shotgun blast bullet in. Everything else is commented out. Not technically. There is a difference though between not bitwise equal to true and bitwise. So not bitwise is that, and bitwise is that. So but I don't use that. I don't use that very often. If you're checking true and false, it's quite often it is a good thing to do. Just check and see if it's bitwise true or false. Mainly just because it's supposed to be more accurate. I guess there is. I guess as I'm thinking about it, there is technically a difference between not equal true and is equal to false. Mainly because if you're saying it's not equal to true, it could be equal to any other value. You're kind of checking to see if it's not equal to a boolean, but you could also say if it's not equal to true, it could be equal to 0. Like an integer, it could be equal to 5, 6, 7. Another integer, it could be equal to a decimal, a float, or it could be equal to a string value. And if you're saying is equal to false, you're saying I'm only checking to make sure this is equal to false. If it's equal to anything else, it could be anything else. I know it's kind of a similar statement, but if it's equal to anything besides false, then that will not evaluate to true. And that's technically what you're trying to do with your conditional, is get the conditional to evaluate to true, even though you may be checking for true or false. Yeah, but I don't want to get into that too much because that could be confusing as you're trying to start thinking about the conditionals. Yeah. Hopefully that helps. If I've confused you, let me know so that I can help unconfuse you. Alright, let's try this. We just went for it. We went for broke here. Compile windows down here. Guess we had to go through some saves first. See if we added or created any bugs. Hopefully not. So compiling, still compiling. First compile of the day.
Mission 1, Death at Dusk. Go!
So far, so good. Yeah, this is really good so far.
Continue.
So far it looks good. Aha. What's our error here? I think it had something to do with the tank. Let's go to Notepad, drop this in. So this says don't have the E size on the tank. I think that's what the problem is. The E size variable doesn't exist on the tank. So we'll go make sure it exists. And we do that by finding the enemy object, level, boss, tank, create, and I'm sure E size does not exist. Yep. E size equals oh, I think I know what a lot of that slowdown look and feel was. It wasn't actually slowdown. It was this. It was the sleep effect that we have going on. I think I'm just going to remove that sleep effect, but this we'll go ahead and call large, and we'll do the same thing with the tank drop. Could probably get away with calling it medium, but I'll call it large for now. And I'm going to remove the sleep. Let's do that, because it just makes it feel like, instead of like feeling pretty cool, it makes it feel like there's some sort of slowdown bug. Now we will do basically a screen pause when the katana blade hits some things, but some specific things, but that's probably about it. So I'm looking for that script. I think it's here, weapons, and probably here. Not there. Try here. Yep, here it is. So just going to comment this guy out. No point to keep it for now, and we'll come back to it if we get all the way through. We'll probably come back. We'll probably revisit that section of code whenever we pull in the katana blade. But right now, guys, that looked really good. I mean, basically the shotgun blast bullet was connecting with everything that it should have been connecting with, and we just went for it. Now I'm wondering how hard that's going to be on the katana blade. On the step event for the katana blade, let's check. Oh, the katana blade's already going through it. Or it may be going through something slightly different. Let me check. Check what the mini blast bullet is doing. Script weapon step, which is different than script weapon attack. So let's go look at script weapon attack, which is right here. And of course this is katana blade was going through here, EBP is going through here, the ghost eyeball missile is going through here, the griffin is going through here, the griffin trail is going through here, the orb is going through here. So this was initially the place that I was going to start moving everything to, but we still have a major problem, which is mainly that we've still got tons of duplicate code through here, and we've got all this cleaned up in other places. So we're going to work on simply moving all this out. This guy can go away now. Don't save that one. Alright. So I think the key thing is we just make sure that everything that passes through with no issues. This I think has already been modified, so this I don't even think exists in the final weapon script, but all this other stuff probably does. So this might be something I need to make sure it gets pulled in correctly. Because I don't think it exists right now in my current weapons script. Let's look at this here. Hit counter, yeah, that's fine. Orb. Most everything else should exist properly in here. See this one? Yep, that's right. This might be different, looks like. Yeah, this right here might be different. I don't know if this guy even exists right now. So let's compare notes here. Alright, keep this guy open. And what we're comparing him against is probably this guy. Yep. Alright. Started at the top. Good, good. Weapon impact. Now that might be... weapon impact comes in right here. Check for impact effect 2. Because I think there might be a problem here. I think I may have a different script name. Alright, let me go look at Skycurser Katana. Create event. We're looking to see what the Katana impact says or is listed at. And that's a number, that's an integer, which I don't think I have mine set to an integer over in this other script. So we may have some reworking to do to get it correct. So argument 8 should be the impact effect for impact 2. I don't know why I named it weapon impact here. That or it equals final choice, which is just like the general impact. Collision impact is getting set to true here. There's got to be a place I'm looking to see if collision impact is true. If it is, then we do the collision with the sound. And we pass in probably the X and Y position, the weapon impact, and the argument 4. So let's go look at this real quick. I'm looking over here in this window. Script weapon impact with sound. And the third argument is the impact object. And that comes through as argument 2, which then becomes the actual object that gets generated. And I don't want that. Based on what this is right here, this is more of like an actual integer. So we'll probably just change the wording of what we have in this large script here. And we'll change this from weapon impact to something like, I mean, weapon impact kind of makes sense, but we're going to replace the terminology for weapon impact over here will replace the concept of bullet impact over here. So we'll have to modify this slightly, and we might just say impact object. Man, I can't just do a single replace. Guess I gotta do these one by one if I just want to do an audit as I'm going through here. Okay, no more occurrences. So that's fine. That's good. We've gotten everything replaced properly there. It will pass properly to the next script without us having to worry about that. Impact object. I'm going to make sure it gets changed here. Impact effect object for impact 2. And then up here is probably where we change the whole concept of bullet impact, which starts here. We change this to weapon impact. And then depending on which weapon gets passed through here, then we appropriately associate everything with weapon impact instead of bullet impact. So it shouldn't be that much of a change. Let's look at the EBP. Collision with enemy 1, hit above the Y position point of origin. If object name is equal to object enemy 1, then do the split collision, else do everything else. And we may have a little bit of an issue here. I'm noticing this guy may be occurring twice. This guy right here might be occurring twice for object enemy 1. I'm gonna have to look into that, but no, it shouldn't be actually, because collision impact would not get set unless they were in here. So anyway, script EBPM impact. We're doing extra points here. If the eyeball plane missile impacts anything else, then we add 1 extra point to the score. So that is definitely not in here yet. So let's take care of that. Well, first of all, let's change this weapon impact stuff Additionally, I'm going to look at script object type here. Let's go to there. Where is that? I thought it would be right here with the weapons, but I wonder if I've got it as a helper, which I do apparently. So get the name of the object index, and if it's equal to argument 1, so let's do this. Be a little bit more explicit with this. Script object type, argument 0 equals the object weapon to check against, or the object being passed through the weapon script. Argument 1 equals specific object, specific weapon object to check against. Okay. Probably a better way to do this than the way I have it here. Through simple weapon inheritance, because this is kind of a crappy way to check. Let me look at this real quick. So I don't have a parent weapon here, and I'm debating how to do this here in my mind. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus the other 2, the mini blast bullet and the shotgun. So that's 7 total of these weapon impacts that could just inherit from the parent and overwrite in each of these particular weapons. So technically we have 7 weapons and not 3 right now. Those weapons are the mini blast bullet, the shotgun blast bullet, the katana blade, the enemy 1 attack, which is the missile that can fly backwards and hit opponents, the Griffin special, the Griffin Trail special, the orb impact, and now that I'm thinking about it, there's one more, which is the Necro Star. Let me see if that's explicit in here or somewhere else. Boss, Necro Star. Necro Star 1. I think I'm doing some of that check in a different location. Yeah, I'm basically doing a check with the Necro Star. No, that's checking against the hotspot. Oh well, I'll keep moving here and I'll come back to this in a second. Let's just start it from the top and start migrating these and making sure they all inherit from a weapon, including even these enemy missiles. They could, I would say they should be a weapon. So I'm going to say I've got weapons here, but I think I want to pull this out. Ooh, it's got a lot of Skycurser specific stuff here. I did it. I went for it. Weapons is here, that's fine. What I'll do is create a base object, base weapon, no sprite, and add an event. It'll be a create event. And let's do this right. So let's go up here, pull the weapons out to the scripts folder. Similar, keep it basically mirroring what's happening in the objects folder. And then create a script here. The script will be script object base weapon init. Basically the create action. And argument 0 will be base weapon. So here's how we do this. We go over here, drop this in, script object base weapon self, and give it a thumbs up. I think I might have incorrectly dropped that in, so let's rename this properly inside of the, yep, it needs to be action and not just object-based weapon. Quebec, you should make a game where different turtle species have to fight each other and you lead the species you pick to victory. Your species can evolve over time. Best idea ever. Yeah. I'm actually trying to like think of games that can be made. I would love to think of games that could be made in the same time limit as Ludum Dare, which is like 48 hours. So I would like to potentially, you know, have a list of games that could just make one after another on stream, and yeah, just to show that they can be made and put together quickly. So, so in here we're gonna say, yeah. In here we're going to say weapon impact, and we'll say argument 0 dot weapon impact equals, let's just do a generic one, return argument 0, if I could spell it correctly, thumbs up, say self equals boom. So we've set a weapon impact value. Now the other thing that we have to do is take each one of these weapons and make sure they inherit from the parent, inherit the event, and then override with their own specific value. So let's start with the katana based on what we see. No, instead of the katana, let's keep this kind of in order as what we've already addressed and then get into what we haven't addressed. So this guy first will be weapon impact. Sure, we will let him inherit from the parent. Event inherited. But then we're just going to go, well, actually, his bullet impact is normally just 1 based on this, right? His weapon impact is normally 1, so it's going to be the exact same as the parent. And so we'll just leave weapon impact at 1. And the next thing we have to do is make sure he inherits properly from the parent, and that does it right there. Okay, so same thing here, create event. Now this we're going to go ahead and say event inherited, but we're going to overwrite it slightly. And it's all going to be based on the type distance. And so weapon impact will get overwritten based on type distance. Now I set a default here, right, in the shotgun blast bullet, but in the step event of the shotgun blast bullet we see this. This is actually good because the type distance is set differently whenever the shotgun occurs. So let's go look at that real quick. I'll just search for type distance, should probably be it, because I think that's probably about the only place I've done it. Script, animate shotgun, and we have all these different sections here. There's a mini blast bullet, shotgun blast bullet. Type distance is set by default there, and it's actually checked for in the step event, but I think where I'm most interested in seeing what we have is yep, that makes sense that it's already there. Let's check for this guy. So we set the type distance based on the animation of the shotgun, and it's based on the first round of bullets or the second round of bullets, right? Bullet type 2, or the third round of bullets, which don't exist. We previously had those and decided to take them out. So there's only 2 rounds of bullets that get shot. So depending on what the type distance is how the weapon impact will get set. So I think we'll just do that check here still and just set this weapon impact appropriately. It's fine to just do the override here. But if arg0 doesn't have a type distance, this may fail. So we'll want to make sure that, specifically with the katana or any of these other weapons, that this doesn't get checked. So I'm debating if I should handle that right now or not. So let me think for a second. I think I'm going to leave this alone for a moment and just keep moving forward here and say that we've appropriately inherited the event, right, in the shotgun blast bullet, so that by default it has a weapon impact of 1. From here we're going to move on to Skycurser katana. Oh wait, did I make sure to set a parent event? No, I did. A parent object? No, I didn't. So we set object based weapon as the parent object, so it inherits properly. So now we go to katana, object Skycurser katana. Let's go ahead and do the weapon inheritance first, and then say event inherited here. Come on. And here's where basically it gets overwritten. Instead of katana impact, we're going to say weapon impact. And I'm okay with there being breaks until I get this worked out. Nice. USB key now on Nintendo 64 emulator. Yeah. Alright. So we got weapon impact here instead of katana impact. So we're going to definitely have some immediate breaks as soon as we get out of here, but we're going to work them out. Object enemy 1 attack, which is not even here. Let's go get it. I'm thinking I might pull this up into weapons, and I think I'm just going to do it. Rip off the band-aid. And this is going to inherit from weapons. This is going to also do event inherited. And instead of weapon impact, we have hit impact as the value taken from Skycurser. This is the weapon value against all enemies. Glad I noted that. So instead of EVP impact, I'm going to call this weapon impact. Skycurser really only has like 1 hit point, so the fact that I'm taking 10 here doesn't really matter, but nonetheless, weapon impact there is 15, so we've overridden that one. Override, overwrite. It's pretty close to the same in this instance. Griffin's special, make sure that he is pulled up here if he's not already. I bet he's not. I bet he's under specials with Skycurser. I think I'll just pull him just right up into here. Yeah, I want to pull Griffin down in there. Alright, specials are fine to keep here. So this guy is definitely going to inherit from the object-based weapon. I didn't hear, love. Okay. So gonna get out of here. Griffin special. In the create event, we have this guy, but before we do that, we'll go event inherited, and then we'll also make sure that the weapon impact is set in script Griffin special init. And I'm going to pull specials out to weapons just like I did down there. Griffin special init. Griffin impact is here. I'm going to change this to weapon impact. So we can get rid of that big if statement basically to check. That big if, else if statement to check what type of weapon is using this script. Because everything is just set to weapon impact. Alright. So good there. Instead of 1, it's now set to 300 for that guy. And then we got to do the Griffin trail. So we'll make sure that we go back up there in a second. But first, let's go to this guy. Pull in event inherited. Thumbs up, make sure he inherits from the parent. Object-based weapon, hit OK. Make sure this guy inherits from the parent. I didn't know if it did. Yes, it does. But this guy's create event goes to Griffin trail init, so let's go to that. And that is right here. And notice Griffin trail impact is here. We're going to change this to weapon impact. It's also 300. So at this point, this is our first game, isn't it? Yes. Why do you ask, the Beastly Bro? Because I look like a noob. Alright, so I think that might be everything except for one more, which is the orb impact from Gaki. So enemies, level 1, boss, attack orb. Should be it. I know so much. How does that make it my first game? That's funny. So pull this into here, basically similar to, I might create a group here. So we'll create this as enemy weapons. Didn't quite make it apparently. There we go. Try again. Alright, so this guy needs to make sure we give it the base weapon, which is right there, and make sure we inherit from the parent. And we make sure that it has a weapon impact instead of an orb impact. I think we're good. Amazed I haven't made a game before. Well, thank you, man. Thank you. I am a software engineer, so a lot of the same, principles apply. Yeah, so a lot of that is carried over. I just had to figure out how GameMaker language works and, all the small pieces about how GameMaker works in general. If I was able to do it all over again, I might start with Unity, or I might start with, a C, one of the C languages like C or C++, something like that. But I'm glad I'm doing it this way because, this is kind of just good to have in general because I think I could probably throw some games together really quick with GameMaker. So, all right. So I think we're good here. And now it should all come through as weapon impact instead of bullet impact. And let's change this from bullet impact to weapon impact. So we'll do the same thing here. We'll just kind of look for bullet impact, replace it with weapon impact. Alright. Do I have it anywhere else? Yes, I do. Anywhere else? I don't think so, and I don't. Good. Okay, that changed, and we changed it carefully. And let's go open up the Katana script again and see how this works with the step event, which is going through script, weapon, attack. Alright, here we go. So this, I think, is really a moot point now. I like this, how we're doing the check to see what weapon it is, but that may be moot to set the weapon impact value for now. So I'm going to comment out what I think I have done so far, although none of this will work yet, so comment this out. Script object type, Skycurser Katana, image index greater than or equal to 3, Katana shows equals true. Not sure. I think Katana shows is in multiple places through here, so let's look for that. Or if it's not that, it's we're in the step event, so this is still important. So I think I might leave this by itself inside of when I basically end up calling this other script, I may leave script weapon attack here so that it just handles whether or not the Katana shows. That is just for the animation for the Katana. Okay, so I can get this guy out of here. Now, instance place, hit does not equal no one, hit.collision on is equal to true. Then we can hit enemy 1. I don't see anything unique with this guy except for this. If hit.hp is less than or equal to 0, and the way that it was connected with was the EBPM impact. Let's look at that one real quick. Script EBPM impact, increment score. If the impact is equal to false, set it to true, increment the score. Argument 0 is the hit. but it's also got to be, it's also a check to make sure the hit is occurring with the enemy 1 attack, which I'm okay with, but that is not in this script at the moment. So, increment the hit counter, that's good for the boss. Make the enemy flash when hit, if it's vulnerable. Object get name is object enemy 1, and collision is in the correct location. If the script object is reversible, so it looks like we've mostly taken into account the Necro Star here. Let's look at that guy. Let's look at script object is reversible. Today I've sent a message to a retro gaming store to know if they have F-Zeros from other N64 game. Man, I loved F-Zero, dude. N64 controller for my PC emulator. Sweet. Reversible, false. Okay, so we have several things that we were going to pass through here to see if they're reversible. One of those will probably be not just the Necro Star, but also the EBPM impact. So let's see this. If we're dealing with the Necro Star, that's what this is. Normal collision location of the normal location of collision for all other enemies into enemy hit 1. So we're just checking basically right here to see if this is basically accounting for the Necro Star, and then this is accounting for anything, and that's not the Necro Star as I put here. But this could be modified to not just be looking for the Necro Star. Instead, it could be looking for this could be looking for, you know, if we wanted to take a look at the EBPM impact as well. Got Katana, enemy 1 attack, Griffin special, and so we could handle the EBPM impact in here if we need to. Anything unique to it. And this is 1500 kilometer speed in F-Zero. Love it. Make sure all eyeballs and veins are flashing if any one of them are hit. These for carrier eyeballs. Don't leave the Y in there. Take 1 EB. Base vehicle, so this is the base vehicle guy. And so the collision impact is there for everything else. Okay. Just had to refamiliarize myself with how that was set up. What I need to check is, let's see if this is the case for everything. EBP. If only the Katana connects with the Ghost Missile. Then we subtract the health off of it. We change the default flight of it. We change it to... I love F-Zero, man. We change the Katana flashing to true. The impact gets generated as well. So we're checking for the Feb to see if that gets hit with the object enemy 1 attack. We check the Peb. We check the fly. We check I'm not checking the bubble eyeball. We are checking the carrier. We're checking to see if the eyeballs have a, or no, yeah, if the Tank 1 eyeball has a death by ghost missile. If it does, I think it has some sort of unique, I don't remember exactly what happens on the death of these Tank 1 EBs if the ghost missile is what connected with it. I'll have to look, but not so worried about that at the moment. Not worried about the EBPM impact occurring with these. The boss. I don't think we took that into account with the boss because it doesn't make sense. The boss 1 orb attack. This is another deflection with the orb. And we don't check to see if the tank or the tank drop has a connection with the EBPM missile. So I'm noticing that there's going to be 3 things in this script right here. Case, in this case this will be object EBPM object enemy 1 attack. Actually, and then the last one here is instead of enemy 1 attack, we will go. What was it? This guy. Reversible equals true. Don't need that either. Send that up here. Get rid of that. Everything. Those 3 are reversible. Alright. So let's leave that alone for now. We'll keep that script as reversible. You know, that'll be helpful for us a little bit later on. But we need to account for several things. If any of these things can connect with it, specifically if any of these enemy 1 attacks can connect with any of these other enemies. So oops, let me make that full screen. Let me check the script EBPM impact one more time. I think what I might do in here is also check for the object type, because we only want certain objects to come through here, or we only want certain objects to be able to be connected with. And the hit should be passing the object enemy 1. Let's see what is returned on the instance place. This returns its ID. Yeah, so that will be sufficient enough to get the name of the object that's passed in, and then we can check to see which objects are getting collided with. Alright, so at this point, let's just open this guy up and then say I guess I've also added a property to each one of these, so let me go look and make sure that property exists, just to make sure I'm thinking about this correctly. Let's go look at that for that enemy 1. Here he is. Does he have an EBPM impact variable? I don't see it here. Let me search. Nope, don't see it there, but it could be in the parent object if it exists. Script object base enemy init. Okay. So we can go find that real quick. Enemy 1. Base enemy. EBP. Yep. Okay. So by default, I do have an EBPM impact set on almost everything. I think the next thing I have to do is check for. So I just wanted to make sure that that was flowing the way I thought it was, and so now that I've checked that, I think we're in a good spot. We first check to see. We check this guy to make sure it's an enemy attack that's passing through this script. So I'm going to pull part of this over, but I also want to change this slightly. Okay, and then change this guy. Do a switch, and this will be object get name of argument 0.id. And argument 0.id is the instance, and so we'll do a case here, and this will be object enemy 1. So we have a couple other ones that we're going to check for as well. And we'll check for those all basically right here. So we're basically looking for something similar to this. So we've got the feb. We need to check for object enemy 2. Occurring on the feb. We need to check for object enemy 3. And so I've changed my game ID a little, so instead of being a text parser, it's totally point and click, since that's easier to code. Also editing an ad with Audacity that I'm making for someone for something else. Cool, man. Awesome. Yeah, point and click is easier, huh? Peb. We're doing this check with the object enemy 4. And we're not doing this check with object enemy 5. Okay, we are doing this check with object tank 1. I gotta check this. I guess I gotta check this right now. So let's go look at object tank 1 EB real quick. Enemies, tank 1, EB, death by, I think it's in the destroy event. So we inherit from the parent, and then there's no death by here. I think there might be something in the parent death by, which probably will be in a script, because that's how I set that one up very carefully. Base enemy die. I don't see it there. Let's look at the base enemy object. Score indicator, so self and shake activate. Cool. I don't think there's I don't remember exactly. The death by the ghost missile was more important for the katana blade on some of these other items here. Less important. Oh, it was more important really for the bubble eyeball, the death by, right? Whether it was the katana blade or the ghost missile. Katana gets 2 points. Man, that's got to be. Oh, that's not going to be in the tank eyeball. That's going to be in the bubble eyeball. Enemy 5. Not in the die event, but probably in the death event or the destroy. Which is right here, and there's a death by. If not is undefined death by, and death by is equal to mini blast or shotgun, then do. Yeah, breakout. Okay, so that's fine. I'm not gonna keep tracking that path anymore. Just wanted to make sure I'm not missing something here. Oh, did I get this guy in 5? No, because look at this. If I guess this guy does exist in here, so he needs to be passed through here. The problem is here, the problem with this is now if I'm passing everything through here, we're going to have a distinction over in this script right here to make sure that it's only death by katana or ghost missile and not one of those other ones that we just looked at. But let's just put this guy in here for now. Distinguish between death. Okay, so tank 1 EB does kind of exist, but I don't think I'm doing anything with that at the moment. Keep moving. Necro Star I'm not worried about. Boss not worried about in terms of that. This guy is the boss 1 attack reversible. Okay. So this is kind of funny. Impactable enemy equals false. Let's just say if that's true. Impactable? Let's say impactable. Is that even a real word? I don't think it is, but I think I might have just made a word up. Let's check. Impactable. So Google corrects me and says, did you mean impactable? Yeah, able. Yeah, so I had it right the first time, which is still correct. Impactable enemy equals true. And then we just say if impactable enemy is equal to true and increment score is equal to true, which I should just be able to go if impactable enemy and increment score, but I'm going to spell it out a little bit. Then I'm going to change this slightly. EBPM. Nope. I'm going to change this to impact success equals false. And so let's just return one thing. Ooh. So it's false by default, true if everything else matches up. Cool, so now the last thing that I have to do is pull some similar code in to everything else. So hit.hp is less than or equal to 0, that's for that. Where's the hit occurring? It's right here. Am I checking anything else? So being an activist is both awesome and stressful. Yeah, method A, text parser.parse. Response, method B, oncar.look. Response. Method B is a lot cleaner. Cool, man. Love it. Oh, really? Okay, so we got that. Score plus equals 1 if the enemy attacked, but argument 0 could be something else. Let's check. It is the correct item. Object 0. We might just pass in argument 0 like that. And instead we might pass in arg0. So arg0, and then let's make sure this will still work correctly. Let's go look at that script. I know we already saw it under helpers. Object type, argument 0 to object index. Yep, that'll work. And then if it's equal to enemy 1 attack, in script EBPM impact with the hit. So this should just evaluate to true or false, and while I'm thinking about it, since that's working with true or false, I'm just going to go ahead and modify and remove that check for true. I'll just say if this and this. Because that should evaluate to false or false, and if only if it's true and true should it evaluate to true. So I'm going to leave that alone. See if that works that way. Should. So we've addressed really probably one of the main things that was missing. So I'm going to continue commenting out some of the things that I think we've already addressed here. And Katana, we will address this in a moment. I think we have addressed this appropriately. I think we've addressed this appropriately. The popcorn eyeball, I think we have addressed this guy appropriately. As I'm thinking about something here. Yep, weapon impact is correct there. Impact object, correct there. Cool, okay. Bubble eyeball, I believe we have addressed this properly. I'm gonna leave him alone for a minute. Come back to him. Carrier. Okay, so this guy is a little bit unique. We're checking to see if the katana blade has connected. To See if the katana hit counter. Alright. Should connect, hit 5. So here's a unique situation where Katana Blade or the Griffin Special or even the Griffin Trail were connecting too frequently with objects and destroying heavier objects too quickly. And they shouldn't necessarily do that. They should only hit them once. So we have to do this kind of funny check to see if these items should be connected with more than once or not. I think all these pieces are correct right here, but this we're going to have to take into consideration because our current script does not take that into consideration. So I think we have to really do that on the outside of everything, which would be like right here, and then everything else will get indented if this is, you know, if this thing should connect. So I think what we do here is say var should connect equals true. And we may need to change this katana and griffin hit counter. Debating. This only really needs to be checked in a couple of places. Necrostar. Yeah, we didn't want to check for it on the Katana Blade. Well, I guess we did want to check for that. So Katana Blade or Griffin Special here on the boss. And this one is the Object Boss 1 Attack Orb. So, let me just hold on a second longer here. If the attack orb is hitting him, then do an orb impact, otherwise do a regular choice impact. I think we've already taken that into consideration. This right here though, Trail hit counter, Griffin hit counter, Katana hit counter, orb. I don't know if there's a better way to do this or not. I think we could just add these to the base enemy object and then call it a day, because I don't think it necessarily matters. I don't think it necessarily matters if these guys are on every object or not. So let's just do that. And I don't think that's a compromise. I think that's probably the best way to do it, because everything really should only get hit once by the Katana or the Griffin Special or the Trail of the Griffin Special. So I think that's perfectly fine. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to go over to that object, enemy, base enemy, init. See if we already have some of these set. Katana hit counter, Griffin hit counter. We do. That's good. I think we do one more thing, which is check and see what the boss is looking at. Boss is looking at trail hit counter as well. And I may just add this to everything, but I may make this check if should connect, then go ahead and connect. If hit boss 1.hit counter plus plus. Let me check this guy up here real quick. Curious what I'm doing with this inside of the tank. Probably going to be in the collide or movement or animation. Nothing there. Movement. Nothing there. Animation. Nothing there. So I'm not really doing anything with these hit counters here. Oh. Gotta be doing something with that one. Let's go look at that. All right. Destroy event. I guess I'm deleting it right there. Okay. That's fine. I'm fine with that. What about the trail counter? What about the Griffin special? So let's look at those real quick. Perfect. It must think I'm in a different place. Who's that guy? Ah. Yep. Oh, I've already destroyed the trail. Hit counter when the Griffin gets destroyed. Okay, good. Okay, good. I mean, I'm fine with the way all this is working right here. And I think I'm already doing the controls on the vein, whether the vein should be flashing or not. Looks like it. Okay, so really all I have to do at this point is final choice, less than or equal to 0. If it's a katana, then we set the death by katana, so I do need to say that. Oh, but I do that here. Oop. Yep, object enemy 5, set the death by argument 9 if that's what was passed in. Death by which weapon attacked the enemy object, katana, ghost missile, etc. And I was adding an extra point. Basically, this is telling me that I was adding an extra point for katana or ghost missile or any of these other weapons that came through here, which I don't necessarily think would be correct. But wouldn't matter for the orb. It would matter for the Griffin special and the Griffin trail. I think this probably should be modified slightly and changed from the way it's currently working. Let me just check this. I've got an apparent event that's doing the destroy. Let me check this. Okay, cool. Well, I don't see an extra point occurring at all, except for when the ghost missile happens right now. That is not correct. I think I'm gonna have to make myself some notes here. Final things to update. Give me a second, guys. And I'll make some notes about this, where we're at specifically. So we'll say weapon transfer notes. We're gonna have to update death by in enemy 5 to work correctly. From I'll also put one more thing. Transfer notes from script weapon attack to script weapon collision. And these transfer notes also include updating the should connect with every object based on katana blade, Griffin trail, EBPM, impact. Let me make sure that's at katana, EBPM impact, Griffin special, Griffin trail, orb impact. Yep. I think that may be mainly it. Those are the things that are pretty unique here. Okay. Oh, I've got to also pull over the connection. Pull over the katana connection with the object enemy 1 attack and the object boss 1 attack. Orb. And if I haven't already, I'll just put this in here, the object Necro Star 1. If not already transferred. Okay, I think that's it. Now, right now, as it stands, the game is broken. But I have to call it a night in the middle of this, and so we'll come back and you know, tomorrow or whenever our next stream is, and we'll prove that it's broken, which it should be, and then we'll pick right up where we left off. We've only got three major we've got three major things to do on the next update of the weapon transfer, which is update the death buy in enemy 5 to work correctly. The enemy 5 is the bubble eyeball, and there might be one more, which is the and possibly enemy or tank 1 EB eyeball to work correctly. Update the should connect with every object based on the katana blade, the griffin trail, EB, PM impact, and the orb impact. That is whether or not one object should connect more than once with any other object. A weapon object should connect more than once with any other enemy object. And then the last piece is pull over the katana connection with the enemy 1 attack, the boss 1 attack orb, and the Necro Star 1 if it's not already transferred. Actually, Necro Star 1 hotspot. But I think that's already transferred. So I'm going to save that. And I think we're good, guys. Man, that is like a nightmare of a transfer for moving all this data from the old script to the new script so that everything flows through the same script and we reduce duplicate code. So guys, I really appreciate you guys coming out tonight and joining me. Always do. And I think as usual I'll just leave you guys with our intro outro, and really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for joining me for Skycurser Daily number 40, and I will catch you on the flip side.
drank Pepsi while playing Pepsi Man.
It is true.
I think my stomach is kind of relieved.
Yeah, I don't really drink that much soda.
I got so full last time. When we were eating those crunchy Cheeto jalapenos.
Jalapeno Cheetos?
Dude, those things
oh
are
my
the
God.
Jimmy Jam. These are so good.
So your PC Engine, do you know what's wrong with the controller port, or is it the controller?
I think it's the controller port. I think there might be like one or two loose
Oops.
full charge on it.
Hey, thanks